Have you ever wondered what it feels like to leave Kenya and fly all the way to China for the first time? Well, come with me as I take you through my first day traveling from Nairobi, Kenya to Guanzhou, China. From the moment I arrived at JKA to the exciting moment I finally checked into my hotel. My China adventure officially began at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to Nairobi. The excitement was real. After all the planning, packing, preparing my documents, and wondering how this journey would turn out, the day had finally arrived. I got to the airport and ready for my long journey. Everyone seems to have a story behind their journey. For me, this was a very special trip because I was traveling to Guangzhou, China. After checking in and going through the necessary airport procedure, it was finally time to board the plane. I settled into my seat, and as the aircraft prepared for takeoff, I could feel the excitement building. And then we were off. As Nairobi disappeared beneath the clouds, I knew I had officially started my China adventure. The journey was long, but honestly, it was amazing. One of the things I really enjoyed was the food on the plane. The airline served us dinner, and after traveling and all the excitement at the airport, that meal was very welcoming. There were also snacks and drinks which made the journey even more comfortable. Sometimes, when you're traveling long distance, little things like having something to eat, something to drink, and being able to sit back and relax makes such a big difference. I enjoyed my dinner, relaxed in my seat, and watched the journey continue. As the hours passed, I realized just how far I was traveling from Nairobi all the way to Asia. It was exciting to think about how many kilometers we were covering while I was sitting comfortably inside the aircraft. Eventually, it was time for another meal, breakfast. And yes, breakfast on a long flight hits differently. I enjoyed the breakfast as we continued our journey. By this point, I was already getting that feeling that we were getting closer and closer to my destination. Then came an interesting part of the journey. We had a stop at Bangkok, Thailand. Now, when you hear that the plane has landed in Bangkok, you might immediately think, wow, time to explore Thailand. But not this time. We only had about 45 minutes in Bangkok, and passengers were not allowed to leave the airport. It was basically a short stop where some people got off the aircraft and others boarded, so there was no opportunity to go outside, explore Bangkok, or even take a proper tour around the airport. It was more like welcome to Bangkok and goodbye Bangkok. The but honestly, even knowing that we had landed in another country was exciting. We stayed within the airport, waited for the boarding process, and before long, it was time to continue our journey to China. Back onto the plane we went. At this point, I was getting even more excited because Guangzhou was now getting closer. The flight continued, and eventually, after all those hours in the air, we finally reached Guangzhou, China. And let me tell you, seeing that we had arrived was such a good feeling. After leaving Nairobi, enjoying the meals and snacks on the plane, making our short stop in Bangkok and continuing the long journey. We had finally made it. Guangzhou. The first thing that hit me was the feeling that I was now truly in China. Everything looked different. The environment, the signs, the people, the roads. Everything reminded me that I was thousands of kilometers away from home. After completing the necessary arrival procedures and collecting my luggage, it was finally time to leave the airport. But the journey wasn't quite over yet. I still had to get to my hotel. So I arranged for a taxi, loaded my luggage, and started my first road trip through Guanzhou. And this was another exciting moment because I was now seeing China from the road. As we drove from the airport towards the hotel, I was looking through the window and taking everything in. The roads, the buildings, lights, vehicles, and the general atmosphere were all new to me. I was tired from the long journey, but I was also too excited to sleep. I kept looking around because I wanted to see as much as possible. Eventually, we arrived at my hotel, and honestly, at that point, I was ready to put my luggage down, take a shower, relax, and finally get some proper rest. It had been a long day. Started from Nairobi, Kenya, flying all the way to China, having dinner and snacks on the plane, enjoying breakfast, making that short 45-minute stop in Bangkok, and finally arriving in Guangzhou. Looking back, the journey was long, but it was amazing and memorable. This was only day one, but already I knew that this trip was going to be one to remember. I had finally made it to China, and the biggest adventure was just beginning. So, that was my first day traveling from Nairobi to Guangzhou, China. From the excitement at JKIA, the amazing meals and snacks on the flight, our quick stop in Bangkok, to finally arriving in Guangzhou and taking a taxi to my hotel. What an incredible journey! But this was only the beginning. Tomorrow, the real Guangzhou adventure begins. The streets, the markets, the food, the shopping, and everything this amazing city has to offer. So stay with me because if day one was this exciting, you definitely don't want to miss what happens next. Welcome to Guangzhou, China, and welcome to my China adventure.